Welcome back, everyone, to the Language Lab, where we help you take your English skills to the next level. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we're diving into a topic that's going to help you transform the way you talk about the past. We're talking about how to describe events in detail, using more complex sentence structures, whether you're sharing a story with a friend, explaining a situation at work, or just reminiscing about an adventure. We've got tips and tools to help you sound more fluent and confident.
Exactly, Sophia. And stick around because we've packed this episode with practical examples, a grammar lesson to help you build more complex sentences, and we'll be teaching you 5 advanced vocabulary words to help you describe events in richer detail. By the end of this episode, you'll not only know how to tell a story, but how to make it engaging and memorable. Trust us. You're going to want to stay until the end because we have some interactive exercises that will really challenge your storytelling skills.
So wherever you are, whether you're commuting, grabbing your morning coffee, or just sitting back at home, make sure to stay with us for the full 30 minutes. This episode will give you everything you need to take your English storytelling up a notch. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. All right, Sophia, where do we start?
Let's start with the basics. When we describe past events in detail, it's not just about what happened, but how we tell the story. To sound more fluent, you'll want to use a variety of sentence structures. That means not just sticking with simple sentences like, I went to the store. Instead, you'll want to start layering your sentences, adding information, and making them more interesting. Here's an example. A simple sentence might be, I visited New York last summer. Now, to make it more detailed and engaging, we can say, last summer, I visited New York, where I explored Central Park, tried the best pizza in Brooklyn, and even saw a Broadway show for the first time. Do you hear the difference? It's more vivid and interesting because I'm adding layers of detail and using a complex sentence.
Exactly, Sophia. What you did there was use relative clauses and prepositional phrases to add more information. You made the sentence not only longer but also more engaging by giving your listener a sense of time and place. And we're going to teach you exactly how to do that today. So by the end of this episode, you'll be able to tell stories like a pro.
Right. And here's where our first vocabulary word comes in. Reminisce. It's a more advanced way of saying to remember, or to talk about past experiences in a fond way. For example, we spent the evening reminiscing about our childhood adventures. It's a great word to use when you're talking about the past with a sense of nostalgia.
Great word, Sophia. And here's another. Recount. This word means to tell someone about something, especially in detail. You could say, he recounted the events of the evening, explaining exactly how the accident happened. It's a more formal way to describe narrating something that has already occurred.
All right, now that we've got some vocabulary going, let's talk grammar. One of the best ways to improve how you describe events is by using the past perfect tense. It's a more advanced tense that shows the relationship between 2 actions in the past. For example, you might say, by the time I arrived at the party, everyone had already left. Here, had already left shows that this action was completed before another past action. It gives your sentence more clarity and a sense of sequence.
That's a fantastic point. And if you're not using the past perfect yet, don't worry. It's something you can start incorporating into your sentences with a little practice. Just remember, we use the past perfect to describe an action that happened before another action in the past. Let's try another example. She had finished her homework before her friends arrived. The first action, finishing homework, happened before the second, friends arriving.
And just like that, your sentence becomes more structured and detailed. So let's move on to our third vocabulary word, elaborate. This word means to give more details or information. For example, can you elaborate on what happened during the meeting? When you want someone to explain something in more depth, this is the word to use.
All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about how you can transition between events in your storytelling. It's important to guide your listener through the story so they don't get lost. Using phrases like after that, later on, and before long helps you connect the pieces of the story smoothly. This is especially useful when you're describing a series of events.
Yes, and another great transition word is meanwhile. This is used to describe something happening at the same time as another event. For example, I was making dinner, and meanwhile my friend was setting the table. It helps keep your story moving and shows simultaneous actions.
Which brings us to our fourth vocabulary word, sequential. It refers to things that happen in a logical order, one after another. For example, the events unfolded in a sequential manner, with each step leading to the next. This is a great word to use when describing a process or timeline in detail.
That's a perfect word for today's topic. Now, before we get into our final set of tips, let's teach you our fifth vocabulary word, vivid. This word is used to describe something that is very clear, bright, or detailed. If you're telling a story, you want to create a vivid picture in your listener's mind. For example, she gave a vivid description of the sunset with the sky glowing in shades of pink and orange.
All right, we've covered a lot today. How to structure your sentences with more complexity using the past perfect tense, transitioning between events. And we've taught you 5 new vocabulary words: reminisce, recount, elaborate, sequential, and vivid. If you practice these techniques, you'll be able to describe past events with much more detail and clarity.
Yes, and just remember, the more you practice, the better your stories will become. So here's your challenge. Try to describe an event from your past using everything we talked about today. Use complex sentences, transitions, and those advanced vocabulary words to really bring the story to life. The more vivid and detailed you are, the more engaging your story will be.
And don't forget, learning a language is a journey, not a race. Keep practicing, keep challenging yourself, and soon enough, you'll notice how naturally you start telling stories with more depth and detail.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to the Language Lab for more lessons just like this one. And we'd love to hear how you're applying these tips. Share your stories with us in the comments or on social media. We'll be back next week with another exciting topic to help you on your English learning journey.
Thank you so much for being part of today's episode. Remember, learning a language is a continuous process, and every small step counts. We can't wait to see how you're using the tips and strategies we share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And of course, keep sharing your progress with us, whether it's through comments, social media, or even in-person experiences.
Stay curious, stay committed, and we'll catch you next time with more valuable podcasts to help you on your English learning journey. Until then, happy learning.